Folks, I can't tell you how many times I've been tagged or sent different articles about how real estate agents aren't going to be getting commissions anymore. So I decided to do a vlog on the interweb here and go over everything with you. Let's go back to November 2023. Last year, a verdict in a Missouri court came down against the National Association of Realtors and a few other big real estate brokers. It basically accused sellers' agents of anti-competitive practices, saying that some sellers in certain states weren't made aware that they could discount or remove the buyer's agent's fee completely. And so a lawsuit ensnared, and the attorneys won against the National Association of Realtors. If you want to read about it, you can Google NAR Missouri verdict. Just check it out and you can go through all the details. So what does that mean for the rest of the country? Well, in order for other states not to get caught up in all of this, National Association of Realtors struck a deal for different real estate practices that they were going to roll these out nationally. How does that affect California, though? That's where I am. That's where my business is in California, in Southern California. Keep in mind, California is one of the most stringent states in the union when it comes to real estate and contracts specifically. Our California Association of Realtor forms that we provide our sellers and go over thoroughly, at least most of us who are good agents go over this thoroughly with our sellers. On the very first page of our listing contract, in bold letters, it states, under the compensation to brokers section, it says, notice the amount or rate of real estate commissions is not fixed by law. They are set by each broker individually and may be negotiated between seller and broker. Later in the section, it states that the seller has been advised of the broker's policy regarding cooperating with and the amount of compensation offered to other brokers. And if we represent both buyer and seller, we must tell the seller. Later in the contract, it goes on to say that the seller is aware that we are going to advertise that amount that we're going to be providing for the buyer's agent on the MLS. So this was already in California's paperwork. The biggest issue in real estate is disclosure, folks. Disclosure, disclosure, disclosure. As long as everyone knows what they are getting into and all parties are aware of what is going on, including banks, and as long as everybody knows, a lot of things are permissible. But it must be in writing because I'm not going to take your word on it. So this was the whole point of a buyer's agent or a buyer's broker in the first place, so that buyers could have representation as well as the seller. Because there's a lot of things going on in real estate that the average Joe just doesn't know about when it comes to laws and disclosures and their rights. And the first duty of a selling agent, fiduciary duty, is to the seller. That is the person they signed the contract first with. So their loyalty has to be with the seller. A crude example in another field would be if you go to court without an attorney. You do have the right to do so, but it's advised that you have one. So I've always discussed with all of my clients, it is strictly up to you if you want to provide a commission to a buyer's agent. But if you do not provide a compensation to that buyer's agent commission of some sort, typically we split it 50-50. That's what we usually do, and we let our sellers know that. But if there is nothing that is provided to the buyer's agent, then many buyer's agents may not bring their buyers to view your property. Advertising and marketing are very expensive, and if you don't know how to do it, you're going to spend a lot of money and time doing it. That's why the biggest companies in the world are the Googles, the Facebooks, the Amazons out in the world. They are basically advertising companies. And if people aren't aware of your home, they aren't going to buy it, even if they are looking for a home, because they didn't know it was for sale in the first place. And then laws come into effect, and disclosures, and what is permissible and what you have to do. All of that has to come into play too. And if you are that Joe Schmo, you don't know, especially when you're dealing with big ticket items. They are typically on a percentage basis. So there is a lot of work that goes into it. And people don't think that until they get into the seat of a real estate agent or a real estate broker. There is a ton of work. This is another reason why a majority of people end up selling their home with real estate agents, because traditionally, on average, for sale by owners sells their home for $100,000 less, or 30% less, than a comparable property that sells with an agent. People don't realize that. I'll put the link below with that stat. Anyways, folks, the commercial real estate industry already does all of this. So it's not new. They've been doing it for decades. So what is going to be different in California? Since the National Association of Realtors is national and not just in California, they're going to put some rules into effect, even though California was already compliant on most all of these things. A couple of things that will change is the paperwork. What will most likely happen is it will no longer be called a cooperating broker fee or commission. It will be called seller's concessions. And it's most likely going to be the same amount that sellers already pay, because there are fees associated with buying and selling a home, and especially with the agents, because being an agent is a job just like anything else, and most of you don't work for free. You wouldn't dream of spending your entire time working for free, so you can't expect a buyer's agent to work for free either. That's just a fact of life. They have lives, they have families, they have to support as well. Once again, you don't work for free. Don't expect other people to work for free for you either. The most likely thing that will happen is that a buyer's agent is going to call up the seller's agent and see if there are any concessions from the seller. And if they don't have any concessions, then that buyer's agent probably is going to take their buyers to another listing that does offer that fee, and that will probably take that buyer out of the market for your particular home. I'm not saying that it will happen like that, but probably. And the second part that is probably going to change is that buyer's agents are going to have something called a buyer broker agreement before they even show a property anymore. And that's going to be signed by the buyer, that the buyer's agent has the ability to negotiate for them, which in California, the buyer's agent already does have that right. So to sum up, in California, nothing much is going to change. It's just going to change a lot of legalese and verbiage. Leave a comment in the section below, or you can call, text, or email me with any questions that you may have. Or if you're looking for somebody to help you buy or sell your next property, please give me a call. I've been doing real estate in one form or another since 1997. Let me help you with all of your real estate needs.